week on Hey the Parents, we're talking about all the things that happen when your kiddos go to someone else's house. Because remembering manners, bringing a snack, helping with cleanup, and all that good stuff because we got ourselves a hangout session. On this episode of Playdates Part 2, it's all about leaving the house for a playdate outside the home. What could possibly go wrong? And more importantly, in the words of The Clash, should I stay or should I go now? Of course, we talk about when we were younger, mishaps with our own kids, and what the supposed experts say. Because it's the three of us and all of you. I'm Michael Haidt.
I'm Sara D.
And I'm Mike Levine.
Kids don't come with a handbook, so we need your help.
Where do babies come from?
Where do you think they come from?
Is this a kissing book?
Mama! Mama!
What?
Hi.
I learned it by watching you.
There are no rules in this house. Not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
We sent them to the best boarding schools. We hired the best nannies. We did everything right.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf!
No drinking, no drugs, no kissing, no tattoos, no piercings, no ritual animal slaughters of any kind.
Together, we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
This is Hey Other Parents, an honest, messy, imperfect show for raising kids.
Hello, what's up, Sara D?
Hey, what's up?
Welcome
it's going,
back. Good morning. Good morning, Thursday morning.
Good morning. Yes. Hello.
I feel like the whole world is in front of us. We got like a nice couple days with the fam. We got Ethan's birthday coming up. You got Easter coming up. We got all the things are happening. It's kind of nice. So this week, Sara and I are going to duo this baby. Mike Levine had a little bit of a scheduling conflict, but we're going to do our thing. And I wanted to fill you in on something ridiculous that happened. Normally, we catch up during the weekend and tell you like silly things that happen at work, but I kept this one secret because it was so ridiculous. So this week, Noah's been going to daycare, and at his daycare, they do like all the holidays, which is kind of cool. So like they did a little hamantash and stuff for what's my problem? What is the holiday? Oh, good Lord. For Purim. That was great. So as she goes to show you, I am the head guy in this house when it comes to remembering stuff for holidays. So he did that like the week before Purim, and then this past week they've been doing stuff for Easter. So it's kind of fun. They do like all this stuff. They talk about it. They learn about the Easter bunny and like the fun stuff of like hiding the eggs and all that. So we had my family coming over from Texas. They come up to visit usually once a year. They spend some time in the city. They go to some shows. They eat out, and then. It seems like the excitement must drop a little bit because then they come out to see us and our family. But they have a lot of fun. But anyway, so in the midst of all this, the first day they come, Jacob looks like he's kind of panicking, and he's like, I don't know where my AirPods are. And we're like, dude,
oh man,
they're in the house. I'm like, let's go look at the Find Me app. Like you could like whatever.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it looks like you could find AirPods when the case is open or the AirPods are outside of the case. But when they're inside of the case, I don't know if this is how they always work, but this is what was not working for us. If they're inside the case, all snuggly and happy and inside the case, you go to do Find My, and they only show the last location. They won't like play music or like make a sound because they're inside the case. But I guess if you drop one, like it'll play like the music loudly through the speaker, and it says like, warning, we're about to play music really loud, so make sure this isn't in your ear so you can find your AirPod. So long story short, I'm not sure if we had the setting wrong or whatever else, but we're looking all around the house and we're doing like find me, play a sound, walking in the basement, walking in the front room, walking in the back room, looking. Now I'm like under the couch and Noah's walking around and like, what are you doing? So we're like, feeling around underneath the couch, feeling on the cushion. You know how to deal with pull all the couch cushions, reaching around, looking in places that make no sense. Like all of a sudden now you're like
retracing every step. Yeah. Like, where were you? So you went to the kitchen, maybe you put on top of the fridge or something like that, Yes,
which makes absolutely no sense. And all of a sudden I found like an old Harry Potter one for Noah and under the couch. He's all excited. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. I got this feeling in my stomach. I don't know what it was. And I pull out I have an older set of AirPods that I've been using for a while. And I take the AirPod case out of my pocket and I'm like, Noah, does this look familiar to you? And he just smiles. And I'm like, Noah, do you have this? And he's like, yeah, it's in my box in my room. I'm like, good Lord. Aww. So we follow him there, tap, walk to the room. And there it is in his little box of toys. I'm like, dude, was there an evil grin? Like, what just happened? Like, did you not see us turning every couch and pushing over? So I don't know if he got into the feels of what Easter might be or if he has like a mischievous side. So we're going to keep a track of this one. I have more information to report as the time goes on. But
more to follow. But I mean, welcome to the world of teens and their AirPods. They're precious to them, and yet they lose those things every 5 seconds.
I know.
And I have torn up my house, the car, only to find in her backpack or something like that deep down. Like, yeah, AirPods, man. Let me tell you.
It's so funny because like in some ways I get it because like you get headphones, like the the cord always tangles up, but like something about kids, man, that is just a disaster waiting to happen. That combination of things.
I actually have a friend whose daughter is older. She's about, I think, 16, 17 now. And she does not want AirPods. She knows that she is irresponsible. And she'd rather have her wired headphones that she always has and doesn't have to worry about it. And I was like, that's really good. It's acknowledging that you'll lose those little suckers in 5 seconds.
Total side note, like I this is related, I promise, but like when we used to go, like, I don't know, like maybe it must have been like the early 2000s, whatever, like you go out to like or maybe even like, yeah, probably like the early 2000s. You go to like the grocery store or like you'd go out and people would look like they're talking to themselves, but they'd have like the Motorola, like one ear things in their ears. And that was like, it looked ridiculous, but for whatever reason, it was so like trendy and in for people to always have their goofy like ear things in their ears, right? And now like I feel like there's like a resurgence of that because I'll see people like walking around and like sometimes they only have one AirPod in. I guess they must be like conserving battery because they're wearing them like all day long. But like, do you feel like the like those vibes are coming like way back?
Yep, everything. Yeah, I always tease my daughter. I'm like, are you making a business deal? Because why do you have like one AirPod in and then you try to hear the conversation at the same time? Like,
yeah,
whatever.
Can you pencil me in for a meeting later?
Yeah, like, I hope you broker that deal, over there.
Yeah, nice. So anyway, if this is your first time joining us in Hey the Parents, it is a chance for a few of us parents who decided that we needed to join our efforts together and try to get through this as a survival course. We decided to do this podcast where we pick a different theme or topic every week. We discuss it from the standpoint when we were younger, what we grew up with our own parents, and then we shift on over to now as adults and what we do without our handbook with our own kids and what we go through and some of the experiences we learn, we share with each other, and then we hear a little bit from what the experts say. Every week we feel just a little bit better because we have each other, and of course we have all of you. So if you have any comments or questions or suggestions or all that good stuff, I will tell you a little later in the show on how you can get in touch with us. And without further ado, we are going to jump right into the main part of the podcast, and that entails going back in time to discuss this time of going to other people's houses and what that was like for us, right?
Man, I remember going to other people's houses, and I don't think my mom ever gave me like the talk, like, don't go there, don't embarrass me. I think it was just like expected that I was well-behaved home, so I must be well-behaved over there. But I remember like always being like a big please and thank you. And I used to kind of feel weird when a parent was like, oh no, call me Susan or call me, John or something like that. I was like, yep, sure, Mr. Smith and Mrs. Smith. That's no problem. I'll definitely call you that one of these days when I'm bigger and older, and probably never.
It's like a cultural thing. Like in your house, like you wouldn't do that. Yeah, I remember that distinctly too. That like very weird. Like I can't call you that. I'm sorry.
Yes, no, I always like, hello, Mr. and Mrs. whatever, and like always make sure I said hello to them and goodbye to them. That was like a big thing. What about you? Like, did you have
you
to
can call me John. Hello, Mr. John.
I'm like, hello, Mr. Smith. Yep.
No, but I think it was definitely the same vibe. Like we remember growing up, like it was like I think I did get the talk of don't embarrass me. But it was like, it was the be your best behavior, please and thank you. Don't embarrass me. And then they were like, definitely without a doubt, there was like the whole thing with we would go, and I think it was like very customary to bring a snack with you or bring like a treat. So I remember like, after my mom, I think last episode we joked after my mom was like, pick up the phone list and call some friends and make some plans. Then, it was usually like after lunch or, whatever else you'd eat. And then you have a snack, bring it over to your friend's house and then go and play. And that was kind of the thing. But I definitely remember like the rules that were in our house, it was like chiseled into our brain that those rules move forward when you went outside the house.
Yes, no, exactly. That definitely was like it. Like, I don't know. Like, and I was always, like, were you ever curious to see like how other people lived compared to you?
Yeah,
I was always fascinated by that.
I feel like as a kid, like you go through these phases where like when you're not, you get like very like interested because, and it was always this thing where like you go to certain people's houses or like, especially if like the adults are there, like if like your mom and dad, were with you, whatever else, or like they came to your house, where like there was like the tour. And like it was so funny because it wasn't like you were buying their house, but like you're like, would you like to come and see the house? And then you'd be like, let's just go with the tour. Please stay with us. Follow me. We're gonna like walk backwards to the flag. But no, it was like you get like a tour of the house. And I remember as a kid, like you'd be so enamored by like new toys to play with that that was like, you know, the first time you hang out with somebody new, that was like all that you were like, oh my gosh, is that the thing that I wanted? Is that the thing I wanted to play with? They have that, you know. But I remember like, you know, that whole feeling of like being totally like blown away. But one of the things that really struck me was we grew up with like we didn't have a toy chest or a toy box. Like the things had to go in their little homes, whatever it was. Like, I don't know what those homes were, but like, you know, maybe it was like a box for this toy or a box for that toy. I mean, it wasn't like totally organized, whatever it was, but I remember like a couple times going to the kids' houses and like they would have like the toy chest. So like it was one box. So like with having one box, like it could be like no man's land, like all the toys out, everybody's playing. And then at the end, you know, like before, you know, my mom was there, or like when they came, it was like time to clean up. And you would look out and it would just be like mayhem of just like everything everywhere, you know? Oh God.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We've done that too. Like where it's like a huge mess and you're like, oh my God, why do we do this? And it's not my house. Why did I make this mess? You know, like
now you're like, I can't leave now because we got to clean this up.
But I do remember like, like getting like kind of like the tour of people's houses. It's like, oh, like we're not allowed in that room. I'm like, check, cool. I have one of those. And then it's like, and that's my parents' bedroom. Cool. I'm like, are we allowed in here? And you know, like they're walking around like they come in. I'm like, this is weird. And then
thank you.
I was like, I'm like, okay, well, that was cool. Like adult stuff. I don't know. And then I remember going to like my one friend's house and she was like, she kind of lived in like those older, like Victorian houses. So her room was like different shaped and I thought that was like so cool. It was like almost like a hexagonally.
Oh, really?
You know, like one of those houses that have like that round thing or whatever.
Yeah,
she was in the round thing. She was like in the princess part of the house. And I was like, oh my God, this room is so cool.
Like one side of the house has like the curvy part where like a staircase or whatever else. Or like.
Yeah, like she was like in the curvy part or whatever. Or like it was definitely weird shaped than like a standard square room or whatever. So.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I just like, I was remember just being very curious about like how they organize their toys, what toys do they have, like what figurines they're allowed to touch or not. Because like my mom would decorate my room with like a bunch of like these dolls like around the world, and they were for looking, not touching. So I would hate that because I was like, they look so fun to play with, and then and I would play with them when she wasn't looking. Sorry, Mom.
Trying to have a photographic memory of how to put them all back exactly.
Yeah, yes, and like not to mess them up too much, but just kind of at least look at them. I'm like, I couldn't touch them. And then like I remember my friend Katie, like back in the day, her room. She too had like these fancy things too, but like we were allowed to like play with them and stuff. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, I like this house.
This is good. This will work. I'll come back to this one.
Yes, I like this one. This one, check. Double. I'm gonna have another date with her.
I remember there was a thing too where like we had like, you know how like, you meet your friends at school, they can meet your kids at like religious school, or you meet your kids at like activities, whatever else. I remember I had this one kid that was in religious school with me, and I remember like he came over once and I was like mortified because like I remember seeing my mom just like super angry, like I could see it in her face, where like she had bagels and then I think he wasted like an entire like, you know, a ridiculous amount of like margarine or butter, whatever it was, like, you know, making the bagel. And I see my mom was already like annoyed, whatever. And like I remember that feeling of like, oh my God, like I got to do something about this, or I feel like she's annoyed, now I feel uncomfortable. So then we went to this kid's house and my mom already had like the bad vibe going. Like she was already like, oh, that kid, you know. And I remember he had like older parents and like sort of kind of like didn't really watch necessarily what was he always doing all the time. And this kid busted out a slingshot. I was like, oh my God. And it was like, all right, maybe my mom got the right vibe. And you know, already with having a couple strikes against him from the great bagel incident, when we go to this kid's house, and I told my mom, and I think that was maybe the last time we hung out together, because I was like, this is insane. But like there's like a weird feeling that you get like from your parents and kind of like how they perceive you know, just like behaviors in kids and like how they act, and if they follow like the same rules like you have in your house. I feel like you already go in like with a charged mentality of like what the play date's going to be like. Do you remember any of those feelings when you were growing up, or like that idea of like Or like even like knowing the kids and like knowing how they are like when you play with them, like if like what your parents would say at your own house if like they were together with you, like do you have this feeling of like this is never going to be a long-term relationship with my friend or not?
Yes, I've had that feeling where so like there was this kid that we used to play with and he had a younger brother, and that's where I was introduced to peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and cream cheese and jelly sandwiches.
Oh wow.
Yes. But I remember
Going off the
going
radar.
there and slightly, because he would come to our house, but then when we used to go to his house, his little brother was there. Because when he came to us, it was just only him, and we played with him or whatever. So we used to go to. Now, when we went to their house, I remember my mom saying, "And if he gets wild, just tell his mom, let his mom know, because he would get wild. He was younger. He would throw things." He did not follow the rules of a play date at all, or being the younger sibling. And there are times that they're like, all right, guys, go in the basement and play. And it was like, oh no, like, please don't leave us. Yes. And it was like, oh God, someone's going to get hit. Someone's going to get something chucked in their head. I'm like, this is going to be
Right. Like it's just a matter of who's first, who's going to get the ice pack.
Yep, exactly. So then, and then we always went. I mean, like they were like, my parents got like really close with their parents and stuff like that. So like, we had fun with the older one, but the younger one, we always kind of got a little nervous about.
Oh man, did you ever have like a thing where you had like a thing that you didn't have at your house that you were super duper excited to play with? Like I remember, like for us, it was like when I first got Nintendo, that was like a super duper big deal in my house, but we didn't have Zelda. I remember going to this kid's house, and he had Zelda, and it was like we were just like flipping out of our minds. It couldn't be like the more amazing opportunity to play something that we didn't have at our house, and we got so into it that we were playing, having a lot of fun. And then I remember he let me borrow it, and somehow I don't know what happened, the game freaked out, and I was losing my mind because like I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna have to replace this. Yeah. And like it was like, oh my God, never borrowing a game again. And I put it on my TV, and I don't know, like it got like electrically magnetized or something happened. Like the game was all glitchy and weird. Like all the you play the game, but like you walk into your room and like it was just all weird looking, and like things were replaced. Like the blocks and the walls were all different. And I was like, I'm so sorry, I don't know what to do. And the kid was like jazzed about it because the game was unique and different. I'm like, I'm so sorry. You're okay with this? Okay. But like, there's a very big thing about like, there's a lot of, when you're borrowing things from somebody, or even these play dates, like there's sometimes things go back and forth. And, I remember like that was a really bad feeling. I was like, oh my God, if you break it, you buy it, man. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm in so much trouble. I got to talk to my parents. But there's like definitely that, especially what's nice is like when you know that you find kids to play with that like have a mutual respect for like their toys and taking care of them, that you feel really like you take care of their stuff too. You feel really bad. But I remember that was like, holy schmolies, like Zelda destroyed, major problems. These things are like $60. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, no, I could definitely imagine. You're like, this is gonna take a lot of chores to fix this up.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I'm gonna have to scrub the bottom of the molding. Exactly. Aw. Sarah's like, I'm zipping around the molding and I'm done by 5 p.m.
I'm done. No, what was it? I never borrowed anything really from anyone. Like that wasn't like a thing for us to do. Like, I don't know. It was like, you have your own stuff at home. You don't need to take someone else's.
Right.
So
and now we learned.
Right. And so we never did that. Like, but I did remember one time really, really loving, my friend had this like little white stuffed animal, like a cat. And it was, I don't know why, it was just so pretty. And it wasn't like something that, it had to be like a souvenir or someone like from somewhere else got it for her. Cause it wasn't like a Mattel or something like well-known brand. It was just like this random cat. And I wanted it so desperately. Like I told my parents about it. I wanted this white little cat. So every time I went to her house, I always played with that cat because it was just so pretty and soft. And like, I don't know. It was just something that I really liked when I was little for whatever reason.
And it was like something that nobody knew where it came from. It was like impossible to find.
It probably was like a souvenir or something.
White cat.
Yeah, my dad was like, cool, yeah, no, I'm not gonna find that, keep dreaming, Sarah. And then, but like, did you ever like help so once you made the mess or the cheese doodle fight that happened in the basement, did you you help clean up and stuff like that? Or you had dinner over at the house? Like, did you offer to help them out and stuff?
Yeah, like I remember being that kid that was like, my parents would always have us help out in some small ways. So like, like taking your plate and bringing it to the garbage and scraping it out, or like bringing the food to the table. And it was funny because like, trust me, I was definitely not a perfect kid. I definitely some major problems. But I remember like a couple times when like parents were like very surprised by that. Like in some cases, like, you go to someone else's house and like, I don't know if like maybe the kids don't help out that way, or like they just think like you're not going to do that because like you're quote unquote the guest, but like your parents like, you're going to help out, you're going to carry the plate, you're going to run the garbage.
Yep.
Did you have the similar kind of thing going on too?
Yeah, no, it just was like expected of me to do at home. So I just did it at like my friend's house. And I think it's the same idea. Like maybe my friends didn't do it at their house, or didn't expect me to do it because I was the guest or whatever. But I always remember getting like compliments like, you're so good. You have such good manners. So I always be like take a lot of pride in that, because I was like, yep, that's my thing. I'm a good kid here.
I am a good kid. Ka-ching.
I am a good kid. And then like also eating everything like off the plate, whatever they serve, even if it's like weird, like those, no offense to cream cheese and jelly lovers, but the cream cheese and jelly on Wonder Bread, I didn't really like that. That was like, it was too like thickums, like in your mouth.
Too much going on. Yeah,
I didn't like that one. But the rice with butter and salt, now that was A+ right there. I like that. That was good.
There was this one kid that I was friend with. His name was Mahesh, and his parents were from India. And I remember distinctly. This must have been, I guess, it's probably in high school. Going to his house, and his mom would always be cooking like traditional food. And then I think like he just from like culturally like just expecting people to like be negative towards like his like other cultures at the time. I was like, I'm like, oh, that smells good. I want to try that. And he's like, oh, you don't want that. That's nasty. I'm like, no, I want to try it.
You're like,
and
no.
I think his mom was like, really? Like, I'm like, yeah. And I remember trying these like kind of almost like dumplings, and I loved them. It was like the cream curry sauce, whatever it was. And it was so good. And I remember distinctly like him really kind of almost ragging on his own stuff, because it was like almost like a safer way to go about it, I guess, like because you're just expecting people to make fun of your stuff, But I loved it. I remember like, because like my parents like, dude, we go to so many Chinese restaurants and things, like I was always expecting to try like new and crazy and wacky things that like maybe by today's standards they really aren't, but like I was like, cool. Now especially when now's different obviously, but like because so many different foods are now everywhere. But at the time I was like, they were totally shocked that I was like, let's do this.
Yeah, look at you, good guest, eat everything. I love it.
But I remember too, there were other things like they had like there was like a prayer room, with a statue and stuff, and I was like, we don't go in that room. I was like, no problem. And I was like, wow, this is wild. Like very different cultures, But what about, what is the thing too? Did you like have the thing with the shoes? Like some people's houses you take your shoes off, and then other people's houses you don't, and you kind of have to like. You walk in, you're like, what's it going to be? You have like your foot on the back of your heel. Like, am I taking my shoe off? Am I not taking my shoe off? Like,
yes.
Did the kids take off shoes in your house? Like we didn't really growing up.
In my house, we took shoes off. When
did.
you walk into my house, and I still do that now. But like when I went to other people's houses, so my husband would make fun of me because I never keep shoes on my feet all the time. Like wherever we go, even if we're at someone else's house, he's like, why are your shoes off? I'm like, because they don't belong in that house and my toes need to be free. Yeah, I just, even when I was younger, whether they kept shoes on or off at the house, I always took mine off. I made myself at home.
The OG boho.
Yes, exactly. I just had to be free, man.
Well, it's funny because like once you get used to the idea of, I remember growing up, like I had this friend Shinji, he was from Japan, and it was like expected, like it may have just been coincidental, but like shoes came off, like that was like just what you did. And I remember like just like, did the shoes come off? Did the socks come off? Just shoes? It was like very much like not what we did, but like that changed obviously as as years gone. I feel like now in our house, whatever. But it's the kind of thing where like when you're not used to it as a kid, you're just like, what's the protocol here? What do I do?
Yes, I know, because it's all brand new. Like when you're like, I don't know, because I feel like your mom definitely gave you a little more like, this is what you're supposed to do. I think my mom was just like, all right, have fun, be good, and like that was it, and
I'll take off one shoe.
She didn't give me like any handbook on like how to be like a good guest or not. I hope I really was. I mean, I hope the compliments weren't like, like, oh, you made a mess everywhere else, but you're really good at cleaning off this plate, like. So
they're mouthing, she's never coming back here.
Right, exactly. So I hope I never overstayed my welcome at someone else's house when I was little. Because as much as I think I am perfect, I probably was not.
Right, exactly. I remember like as a kid, there were like two feelings that really stuck with me. One was like the cleanup was fine, except for like and that's probably everywhere, but like when you feel like you were not the person that made the huge mess. I remember that like animosity of like, I guess we're cleaning this up. I didn't really make the mess, but I'm gonna help you out because that's what you do. And then, and almost just like, I probably was visually all over my face because you know me, I don't have any emotions. But I remember as a kid, like I remember there was this feeling of like the idea, and it probably wasn't like that much longer, but I remember as a kid, like you would like have like this grand scheme in your head on how you're going to get your parents or the other person's parents like together, like you work together to be like, you think we could hang out and like stay for dinner? Like, oh, we didn't talk about that before. All right, how are we going to go about doing this? All right, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to write a letter to my parents, or we're going to present them with the idea, and we're going to cross our fingers, and and I remember like in some people's homes, like they're probably like, whatever, who cares? Just the kid will just say, whatever, it'll be like, okay, we got to call your home now. And then like, maybe like you got past the first trial. The first trial was getting acceptance, so you were going to stay. Trial number 2 was calling your own parents and asking if you could stay. And then like, right. And like all the stars had to magically align for that to happen.
Yep. Usually it was a no, but that's okay.
Yeah, usually it was like, nope, sorry. Were you allowed to have play dates during the week? Was it more like weekend kind of stuff?
Weekend stuff. Always weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember occasionally it would be like during the week, and then it was like, like from like, maybe like for an hour, but it wasn't like anything crazy.
Yeah, no, I think, what we used to get around was with that we were going to work on this project together. Yeah.
Oh my God. That brought back all those feelings. I forgot about all that stuff.
I was like, oh, we should say that we're going to work on this like religion project. Like, yeah. And then it's like, again, magically align all the stars for everyone to be like, all right, whose house you're going to go to after school, blah, blah, blah. That was the best feeling ever when you got that okay on a random Wednesday or something like that. Did you ever, okay, so I went to like Catholic school back in the day when I was younger. So if on a Friday I was gonna go to a friend's house, my mom didn't drive, so and like sometimes like the other parents, like maybe they took the bus, I don't know, whatever. But and like the parent would be home when we got there, but they would write a note saying to like the bus driver, like, hi, this is Sarah. She's going home with Jennifer today, And I remember just like giving that note and having that note in your backpack all day. You're like, yes, I'm going home with her. I'm going on her bus and we're going to go hang out now. Like that was like the best feeling too.
I remember that would happen a lot like on half days. Cause like, my parents both worked, and my mom was a teacher. So like she couldn't like, she had to, it wouldn't work out. So I would go, sometimes I'd go to other people's houses. I remember what a cool feeling was. There was this one kid that we used to go to, we'd get off the bus, he'd have lunch, and he'd have like Lipton, the Lipton packet of instant chicken soup. I remember how good that was. Yes. I was like, ooh, we're living wild and crazy. This isn't matzo ball. But it was, it was a lot of fun, but it's so crazy. Did you have that thing where, I don't know if you had this situation where like we had an issue with babysitting and stuff like in the morning, like my mom had to get to work. So I think she would like beg, barter, and steal just to like do something with me. And because there wasn't like before care. So I would go to like another kid's house. And then like, just for like, whatever it was, like 25 minutes, she would drop me off, and then like we go on their bus together, just to like, it's what you did, because it was just like, what else are you gonna do, and I remember that was like almost like a mini play date, you'd everyone be, you get there, you're all dressed, you already eat breakfast, and like the kid would be kind of like just scraping out of bed and like getting ready, you'd like sitting there like, do,
all excited, like, okay, hurry up, get fat, like get dressed faster. So you got like
and
10
you kind of learn their routines, you kind of learn their routines in their house.
Yeah, no, I didn't. My mom worked from home. We were lucky enough that she was able to like stay home, and then she had her own business inside the house, like in the garage that converted to like an office. So it was fun, like hanging out with her in the morning, maybe stapling some things or filing some stuff for her before the bus came. No, we were fortunate in that way. Like we were just like hanging out, in there, waiting with the bus driver.
There was I remember like once I get to like middle school. I think it was 6th grade. It might have been 6th grade. I guess back then 6th grade was not middle school. It was like elementary school, whatever. I had these friends that this was like the only time in my life before that I played Dungeons and Dragons up until like now that we did the podcast. But we did this thing where there was this group of friends that I met, and they were allowed to be like in a room like during recess if they wanted to. They play like Dungeons and Dragons like during the day and like for like whatever it was, 25 minutes, whatever it was. And then they were like, oh, we're gonna like hang out, whatever. Do you want to come over? And it was so much fun. I remember like low key, chilled out, great kids, like just nice, dorky, fun, whatever. And we would go on Fridays and we would order a pizza. And the pizza would come and we would like all split it up and bring her like $2 or this, whatever it was. And then we'd go to their house and just play and hang out. And the expectations were so like, who cares? Like it was just having fun. They're like, sometimes like one of the moms would make like Franks and beans. And I was like, as a kid, I never had it. It was like amazing. So it was like, it didn't matter. Like the level of like the friendship was so cool and like fun and awesome that like, the fanciness of like dinner and everything else like did not matter. Like it was just like fun to hang out and have fun. And I think that was like such a nice like change of like that formality of like, you know, of like, you know, going to someone's house. But maybe it was just the age. Maybe it was just like hanging out with a group and like all doing like an activity or something together. The parents probably loved it because they were like, they're doing their thing. This is great. We got like 2 hours to hang out. They're going to have this thing. You know, all we have to do is throw some hot dogs and some beans on the stovetop. We're good, baby.
Love it. So again, growing up Carmen, like middle school, like again, so like at middle school, like it definitely, we would hang out like more on the weekends. I didn't have like the freedom to like roam around, like do stuff like that. Like, but like in this
roam the streets playing D&D with the devil.
I wasn't allowed to roam the streets. But in high school, I used to go to Kellenberg. It's a private school, and there was like after school, like so you would stay after for like activities, things like that. And there was a late bus that came at 5, so that was like my hangout sesh with them. So like sometimes people go to like 7-Eleven, and like or we just like hang out and like do homework and things like that. And that was always fun to do or whatever. Like that was like how I got like that free time after school was like kind of still in a controlled environment. And then the late bus was fun because like it was like all different kids like on from different schools like on this one bus getting dropped off in the area.
Probably took like 6 hours in a day to get home.
Oh my god, I didn't get home till like sometimes like 6:30, almost 7 sometimes. But like all my homework was done, so that was cool. Ate some dinner, went to bed, you know, and did all over again.
You're like rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. But it was fun because like that. Because again, like I didn't have like that much freedom to like just like go roam around, go to 7-Eleven by myself and stuff like that, or with friends. Because like people, like, I don't know. My mom said like people don't do that, and I was like, oh okay, you know. So
you're like, I'm gonna buy some Orbit's drink and go nuts. And no one's gonna know about it.
Oh my god, Orbit's drink. Remember that? Those were so fun.
I had to bring that up. Little boba things in your mouth.
Those were awesome. Okay,
yeah, we were cool with boba before boba was boba.
Exactly. Yeah, take that boba.
Or whatever the heck that is floating around there. I remember distinctly there was one thing I was going to ask you about. It was sleepovers, because it was just one. We didn't do a lot of sleepovers. Like it was kind of like my parents were like kind of like, I don't think so. Like my older sister did with friends, and I think they were like, this is just a disaster every time. But we went one time. There was a kid that was having a birthday party, and it was somebody I met from camp, and he was having a birthday party, and we bunch of boys kind of hanging out, whatever. And there was like a thunderstorm at night. It was really windy. It was really rainy. I don't know. My parents were just being themselves. My dad was being like nervous, whatever. And he called the house, and like nobody answered.
Aww.
Because the dad went. This is the way they tell the story. I don't remember this, so like I'm going basically on that. And you're like, the dad left the house. He went on a date, and he left an entire party of all the boys there with no supervision. And they were knocking on the door. They came to the house because they were getting nervous. They started knocking on the door, and then nobody answered it because there was nobody there. So we heard like pounding. We were nervous. Nobody answered. The dad wasn't even there. So my parents were freaking out, calling the house, knocking on the door.
Oh my God.
They love to tell me this story pretty much once every like 6 months still to this day. I'm like, it's not my fault, you know? And, you know, I remember like growing up, like there were different versions of how I would feel after hearing the story 6,000 times. Like at first I was like, what's the big deal? You know, or like at first I was like in disbelief of how could a person leave you, you know? And then I remember like in the morning, like, whatever, like we woke up or after getting a half an hour of sleep, whatever, having like chocolate chip pancakes. So I guess the dad must have come back at some point. But whatever. So there was like, but it was like, I didn't even know, like I felt so like mixed feelings. Like, I know this is bad. I know you're annoyed. I know you're mad, but like, what do you want me to do with this? Like, is this my bad choice in friends? Like, as a good kid, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's not the kid's fault either. And also too, if you add up all the ages of the kids there, you made one adult. Maybe 2.
Oh God! You know how much experience is in this room? There must be like 150 years of experience. And you're like, it doesn't really work that way.
Yeah. No, it does. It does.
Well, speaking of experiences and all this age, I think it's probably time for us to to make our way to now that we have kids and all that good stuff. Then we're going to jump into now time as parents. This is a part of the show where we discuss what's like as parents with our own kids. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong, and sometimes we do a lot of guessing. But we're here for each other. And something tells me now, after having all these like emotional feelings about being a kid, we're now going to be like, wow, maybe I'm not a good parent with this stuff.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Oh man. So now, bring us in, Sarah. What do you got going on?
Okay, so I don't remember my mom necessarily dropping off treats with us, but like now I do that. I make sure that wherever my kids go, I try to drop off like a Munchkins. That's like my go-to because nice and easy. A bag of chips, like something like that they like, or something like, or my kid might like or is into at the moment. Because like that's the worst thing is like when a kid comes over and like, nope, I don't eat any of those things. Like
do you ever put yourself in the circumstance where you're kind of like, all right, I'm not the kid right now. Maybe I won't even get some of this, but in my mind, if I was the kid, what would I want to be eating right now?
Yes, exactly. Like a treat. That's why Munchkins always comes through, or like like a good cookie or something like that. Or sometimes what I like to do is go to like Five Below and get like one of those like little art kits or like a puzzle thing or something like
super smart,
easy, inexpensive, have fun, nothing too messy because you don't also want to bring things that are messy to someone else's house.
True.
But just like something for them to like play together with, like that way, and also or like a basketball, something like for Five Below, because like Julian has his basketball that he likes at home, and then it's like bring this one, that way you guys have more things to play with, and if you lose it or forget it there, that's no big deal,
Oh, I like that. It's almost like, here, I call this the peacekeeper. You will bring this with you just in case things go south.
Yeah, exactly. Like, here you go. Here's like little supplies, But what about you? What do you guys do?
Oh, man. We feel like one of the things that I feel like we try to do is definitely do the dessert thing, because like that seems like that is like definitely like, got to give that. They definitely like, I feel like depending on which kid it is, like sometimes Ethan wants to bring half the house with him. So like, we'll be like, all right, take one bag. It can't be luggage. Take one bag and pick out like the things that you want to bring with you. Yes. And without fail, it's always like a sketchbook, some like character or notebook of things that he's making, like dice, pencils, color pencils. I'm like, dude, this is a little test. But he always has like something because he always wants to make like a little activity or things that he wants to like do. Jacob will be like, I got my Rubik's Cube. We're good. Whatever it is,
I love it. Yeah, no, when Sophia was younger, she would want to bring like toys and stuff like that. And I'm like, don't bring something like 5,000 pieces because you always leave something behind. And she still always left something behind, but because like if you have Barbie dolls, you want to bring your Barbie dolls, so then like they can all meet and stuff like that and like hang out, like so.
A play date for a play date.
Yes, so you gotta like definitely like limit. I always had my kids like limit like the amount of crud they brought to someone's house, because then you lose it. Then it's like another day you have to go pick that stuff up because that's the most important part,
That's like gone forever, basically, right?
Yep,
but there's gone forever. I kind of like, I don't know why we are this way. I feel like maybe it's because of like apprehension of like sending the wrong message, but I feel like we're very like, we don't really usually allow them to bring electronics to someone else's house. And I don't know why that is, but like I don't know, maybe that'll change over time, but like I can't think of like okay, you could take these games with you, or you could like bring the iPad or whatever else. I feel like you don't need that. Like you're gonna go play, you're gonna hang out, you're gonna do something there. Like you don't need that stuff. But like for whatever reason, I feel like that's just one of those things that we kind of have this weird kind of like rule in the back of our heads. Like we kind of follow that. I don't even know why we follow that. It just feels like the thing to do. Like you're almost like bringing something that you're not, like almost like I'm nervous that maybe like you're gonna bring something with you and you're not really gonna be focused on hanging out with the other person. You're gonna be more focused on just whatever the things that you brought with to play with for a bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm like thinking this out in my head.
No, I don't think you're wrong with that, because like, and sometimes Gene, he gets like that too. Like he's like, they're together, they're just watching on the phone, like talk to each other. And I'm like, well, that's how they kind of like nowadays things have changed. So like when Sophia was younger, she had an iPad, but like, we never brought that to the play date. It just wasn't like a thought. Because there was like so much, especially with like the group of girls that she hung out with, like it was always activities. Like we always like the moms always got together. We always hung out. They always like played, and it was always like, okay, next activity. Okay, now they're painting. Let's set it up. Let's like get the painting stuff down for them. Okay, now come paint. So we were kind of like organized that way. It was like nice like when you get like-minded parents together who
Yes.
like to have like activities and like, you know, like want to hang out. And it's really nice when you have like that kind of group. It was a really special time, I felt like, for me, for her. But now that she's older, the cell phone's a big thing. They sit down, they share TikToks, they look at each other's like Instagram, like, oh my God, look at this, or Snapchat.
Right.
But now Julian, you know, he's like, because COVID in some ways kind of held him back with like those play dates and stuff and that experience. And everyone's kind of nervous. So now things are, you know, and also now he's really making some more connections and stuff like that. So he might bring like his remote control, like the PlayStation, the PS5 controller with him, because his friend doesn't have an extra one. So he'll bring his own. That way they can play games together. But then they also do basketball. They go swimming. They do like at the friend's house, like they do a whole bunch of things there too. So they're not like on it all the time. But it's like definitely you want to bring it just so that they can play, you know, the games and stuff like that together.
Well, I kind of like that because like in some ways, like I get this apprehensive feeling sometimes. Like I think we joked about this like a while ago, or like, you know, we were just talking at work. But there's like this feeling I remember growing up, like even like it sounds like something that's kind of sort of unrelated, but like I remember like my parents were so big on like not having like, you know, like yummy good cereal that had like, you know, all kinds of like marshmallows and stuff in it. So then like the moment that I was like free and like I'd had stuff, I'd be like, I got to make up for lost time now. This is like, you know, so like I kind of like don't want to take away the opportunity for my kids to like, I wrestle with that because I want them to like have a chance to like, you know, like, okay, you bring the controller, you're gonna do this stuff. Like, I shouldn't say no all the time. Like go be a kid, have fun. Like, I don't want to turn into like, oh, thank God I'm here. I'm not in my own house. I could go do all these things now. You know what I mean? So there's like, I like the way you put it. Like, it's almost like you numb that overexcitement over like one activity by just making it available so they could do a bunch of other stuff. And it isn't like, finally we have the game time. Let's play the game for 3 hours straight. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just a thing, you know?
Yeah, like it's just a thing, right? And again, I think like when you find your kids hopefully make friends that their families are like-minded like yours, you know, like I know that parent saying, guys, go outside, it's nice out, go get up, you know, like do that later, you know, kind of encouraging, like not all over them, but just, you know, just like go do stuff, you know, like go away, you know.
I remember my mom would kick us out of that. I went back, I apologize, we went back to when we were a kid, but he just made me think of something. My mom would like, eventually if we were playing too many video games or like the kids were over and like just doing whatever, she would be like, you're going outside. I'm like, what? She'd be like, get your jacket, you're going outside now. I'm like, I don't want to. I remember like almost like not wanting to fight with my mom in front of like a friend, but like also like, what are you doing right now? You're embarrassing me.
You're embarrassing me.
Outside. Do something. I don't care. Here's your jacket. Door slabs.
And we're in the middle of this level, Mom. Yes, no, like
we can't save right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's it. But I mean, like how do you feel like, you know, when you meet like parents like at like the park or when you're like starting to like form a friendship, like that whole adult friends leaving your kids at someone else's house.
Man, it feels weird, but I like that. I like the okay, so I feel like this is so weird. I feel like it's almost like dating a little bit.
Yes.
Like I kind of like I like the public place first. I like the I like the idea of like low key small hangout sesh, like almost like going out for coffee, like, right? You got to start easy, you know, maybe just talk a little bit outside, you know?
Yeah,
so that's it. So like you start out, you kind of hang out, go to a park. Park's great when the weather's nice. Then when it's not nice, you're like, I guess we hang out at the person's house or our house, whatever.
Yes.
And then like once it's like a small session, like an hour, maybe hour and a half, that's good. I don't love the drop. I mean, I feel weird. I like when it's the first hangout time, if the parent kind of hangs out for a little bit, just to like kind of, you know, not like I'm sizing them up, but I kind of like, I just want us both there for a little bit, just it feels like everyone's kind of comfortable in the situation. The same feeling that I want to have for the other parent coming to our house, or just like I would go to the other person's house.
Correct.
Like just hang out for a little bit. Like I feel we're just like dumping and going. Like it feels weird, you know? But then like as you get more comfortable and like then it's like totally dating, like, oh, is the parent like? Are they a dud? Is the house a dud? Are we gonna hang out? And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I know like you're not always gonna be friends with like I'm sure like sometimes relationships fall apart and you still want to be friends with like the kids' parents, even though the kids don't hang out, or vice versa. But there's like I love that when you could have like a parent and you could see, because you, or even it might even just happen from like going to birthday parties. Cause I feel like I jokingly call it like going on tour, because sometimes at certain grades, like you feel like you're going like a birthday party every weekend, and sometimes you see the same parents and you're like, "Yay, what's going on?" And like, the small conversation progresses, and then you're like, "Oh, we should get our kids together." And sometimes you're the one that gets the kids together because you're busy talking to another parent versus like the kids initiating it, which is kind of funny. I don't know if you have gone through like the tour de la birthdays, which turns into like seeing the same parents all the time, you know?
Yeah, no, we've done that. Again, like with Julian, like I felt like with Sophia, like I mean, I miss like I still keep in touch with the ladies. Our girls have grown apart and things like that. But like I miss that. I miss that time. Like we would just all get together. We all hang out, us moms. Like we chit chatted, you know, and the girls were just running around and having fun. And then Julian was shortly trailing behind them and stuff like that. It was just such a really fun time, especially when your parents are gelling. And then like with Julian, unfortunately, because of the COVID, we didn't really have as many birthday parties like kind of going on. And like now he's older and it's like almost too cool for like those kind of birthday parties. But it definitely is nice. Like I agree with you. Like I like to like at least meet the parent a little bit. I'd like not necessarily invite myself fully in the house, but I just want to like peek my head in real quick and just make sure like things are kind of okay. Like, you know, but definitely with Julian, like it definitely is a little bit more for me. I find more like a quick date and then like drop off and like goodbye, Julian, versus like with Sophia, it was like, at the park, at McDonald's. Okay, now I go to your house. Now you come to my house. Oh, now we're best friends and we're hanging out every weekend together.
Right.
So like it's been like a different vibe, but all his friends' parents are awesome. Like they've been great. We're pretty much all on the same page or stuff. It's just like unfortunately everyone's lives are just so busy and different that I don't get to have that I had that community that I had with Sophia's friends, moms, that I do with this with Julian's group of friends. But still, all his friends are great. You know, I love hanging out with them, like them coming over and seeing them, or him going there, him coming back and saying he had a great time. You know.
Oh, that's so awesome. I feel like we have like a mixture. It definitely feels like with COVID that like it was weird because so Jacob is a little bit. Well, I guess our kids are kind of like closer, like in the middle somewhere. So Jacob's like probably closer to Juju than he is Sophia, but there was like a time before COVID where like kids sort of like, it felt weird. Like they sort of like stopped having parties earlier than I expected. And then like you kind of like lost those social opportunities to kind of like branch out and meet new people. And then after COVID and once people got a little bit more comfortable with being in larger crowds, it felt almost like birthday parties went longer when they were older, like they would be older and still having birthday parties than they did like before, like almost like making up for lost time in some cases.
Yeah,
and
probably.
I feel like those are opportunities to meet like some other kids, but it sometimes feels weird as a parent when you have more than one kid, where like sometimes you get a little lazy and you're kind of like hoping just to meet, like hoping that like the kids that parents you already know have younger siblings, so that like you're like, oh, score, and then like then your kids hopefully become friends. Yeah. But that doesn't always pan out exactly right,
way.
But
exactly.
sometimes it does, But like we have friends that our neighbors that we love hanging out with, and one of the kids is Jacob's age, Amalia, and then one of them is Ethan's age, is Ben, and like Jacob and Amalia met when they were super young and hanging out, and then we just have like the brothers just kind of hang out, and we just kind of like throw them together, and like we just kind of assume that everything's gonna always go well. But like Ben and Ethan are very different sometimes. Like Ben's really into soccer and into like certain things, and Ethan could be into like more like creating ideas or like fantasy games or his own stuff. And sometimes they have to just like do that thing where it's like, we know that like, oh my gosh, he's going to someone else's house now. You're going to have to divide your time up. You're going to have to agree that part of the time is for this, part of the time is for that. I don't want to hear any screaming. You got to work this out, and it's he's kind of working it out. It's an age thing too, but I think that like having the sibling situation could be tricky because like you even mentioned it too about Juju dragging behind. Like sometimes, there's that weird like dynamic where like you just like, even from your own kids, like you don't know like how they're going to get along as siblings with like the other friend, or even like the heartbreak you tell your kid of like, listen, dude, I know sometimes you hang out, but this is a play date for your older brother or whatever. And like, it's not necessarily for you. And you have to be kind of okay with that. Like they have to have their space right now, especially the first session hanging out,
Yeah, no, exactly. Like Sophia had a friend where, they're the same age, and actually the little brothers, and Julian's friends with the little brother. So every time she came to the house, she was like, "Oh, let me get my little brother over here." And the mom said, "Please don't let her do that." Because I was like, "Oh, I'm like, invite Joshua over." And she's like, "No, because I want her to have her time and they will have their time." I'm like, "I agree with you. That's fine too. Like, I don't mind." I was like, "If it's a matter of like the number of kids here, I'm like, I don't mind. Like, it's fine."
Like, you're just trying to be polite.
Like for me, I don't mind. Like, more kids the merrier. I love a kid party at the house. But no, but she just wanted her daughter to have her time and her son to have his time. And I was like, I respect that. Like, that was good. Like, and at that point,
it's kind of eye opening too, right?
Yeah, it is. Like to kind of like say like, all right, like, because you're always like, if you're the older sibling, I feel like you're always kind of helping to take care of the younger ones anyways, and you also want like the younger ones not to be so dependent on the older ones, like as a social crutch in some ways as well.
Right.
So I respect the mom for that. That was a good decision. Good job.
That's smart. I like that, because like sometimes you have to just like pump the brakes on that and like make it so that they understand that like they didn't do anything wrong, but like you kind of like just like this is time. But then I feel you have to almost like keep them really busy, because like what was it, your house or whatever else, but like you have to almost like compensate for this, like, oh, you're not invited, but don't worry, we're gonna do this thing together. You know what I mean? But it ends up being a nice opportunity. But I feel like the first time the kids hang out, like I like it, like when it's at a house, I think it's definitely circumstantially it seems like a lot better when it's just one-on-one versus like 3 kids hanging out or 4 kids hanging out. Sometimes the first play date, just to have like a little hangout session, just you and the other kid, especially because sometimes like a friend and another friend could have like a bigger friendship, and then the other person is just sort of like trying to find their way. But we try to do like the one friend hangout session first, and then like then all of a sudden like a couple kids more hang out, like all that good stuff. But it's kind of like just that creeping our way into like making a good relationship with a friend,
Exactly. You always want to make sure you teach your kids how to behave,
I love Sara bringing up the idea of bringing the art kit to someone else's house, because you know what? Sometimes you got to arm yourself to the teeth. This week we have an article teaching your kids how to behave when visiting other people's houses. And what we like about these, some of these articles sometimes we find are like more of us kind of like rethinking strategies and certain circumstances and how to deal. And in other cases, it's just like, here are some age appropriate listed, bulleted things to help you kind of get your act together. And for me, I like a list. I like having something right in front of me that is like, here's what you're going to do. Here's
Check.
Their age.
Yep.
Right. But some of the things that are on here, and obviously we'll link in the show notes. Sometimes we go through the articles very quickly, and sometimes we spend a little more time in them. This is just some of the things from this article that, when you have some time to come check it out. But you don't listen to a podcast to listen to us tell you to go read an article. We will bring you the important stuff. So one of the things that I think was definitely good is 2 things that kind of jumped out at me were reducing surprises when you like kind of like giving a general sense of like what's going to happen on a play date. Like, the mom's just going to be there, dad's going to be working. You got to kind of keep it quiet because like this, that, or the other, or like they might just be hanging out and watching TV and you do not need to be watching what they're doing. Go play another, whatever it is. The other thing that I like too is creating like distractions. And I love like Sara brought that idea of like, you're bringing this with you. Here's some stuff just in case, for snack time. And I will see you in an hour and a half. Those are the ground rules. And another thing that I thought was really good is kind of like if you're with them, like knowing the code, coming up with a plan, which I think now as a parent, I probably do this better, is like kind of like one of those things of like, well, dinner time is coming pretty soon. So, or like a little tug of the ear or a little like, referee style thing. Just like knowing either like 1, you're acting like a maniac right now, you need to calm it down, or 2, we're going to be leaving soon or whatever else like that, or it's time to start cleaning up,
Yes.
But do you feel like that's like, yeah, it's the important things, right?
Yeah, I think that's good. When you go to someone else's house, you don't want to overstay your welcome. So a good little eyebrow raise when they're misbehaving or when it's time to go. A good like, well, on that note, I guess we have to get going to our grandma's house or something really quickly. So.
But grandma lives in Florida. Get in the car. No.
Get in the car right now.
But some of the cool things, yeah, exactly. Yes. Some of the things in the list that were kind of good is it breaks it down by age. So obviously, like, a 2-year-old can maybe like understand that there are rules to follow. But like by 4, they should be able to comprehend that there's rules going on in other people's homes. And like maybe you have to prompt them a little bit, but like they should get the understanding that there are some things that they should abide by. Obviously, like almost like I don't care what you're doing. In our house, you keep your feet off the furniture. You better do the same thing here. Following some of the same things that maybe you have. The hardest thing I think from younger ages is this idea that rules have to transcend from one house to another. So what you do in your own house has to be applied when you go somewhere else, despite what things are different. And even sometimes that has to be with more flexibility, that if in a house a kid has rules that are maybe more strict than yours, you should be a good guest and maybe follow suit. And maybe if that means like something like shoes or the way you sit or whatever it is, with obviously within reason. And then the idea is that they should be expected by 8 to 10 to be able to have a short conversation with the adult in the house. And like if they ask them about like whatever, how's school going, how just about whatever they're playing, not one word answers, but being able to like engage a little bit. And I like that last point because that's something that
too.
You don't really think about, right? Do you feel like that's something that you're like, oh, good Lord, you're going to embarrass me. Like, could you please? And it's not about you, but you're like, you're going to embarrass yourself. Like I want my kid to be able to, like, when they're comfortable and silly and happy with us, I just want that to carry through to someone else's house. Or like other experiences so kids can see that part of them. Cause I feel like when they're just like one word answers or just like looking the other way, not making eye contact, I'm like, whoa, who are you right now? That's not even you. Like, could you act like yourself when I see you? And I think that's like something to help them through.
I agree. Just a polite, oh, school's good. How do you like that teacher? Oh, she's all right. Or oh no, she's terrible sometimes. But just a quick, something. They just need to be able to just have a quick conversation and not be the awkwards.
So I love that. So this week, the question is not be the awkward. That should be maybe the name of the episode. What are the things for this episode? For this week, we're going to ask the question of what are some of the things that you tell your kids right before you go into someone else's house? Hopefully it's I love you. But before you go to someone else's house, what are the last few things that you tell them before they venture forth through the gateway, through the door? We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to answer this question or have any comments or questions for the show, there's 3 ways you could get in touch with us. 1, you can leave a message on our Hey the Parents voicemail line. It's 559-LAY-KIDS, or the long version is in the show notes. It's 559-537-5437. 2, you can email the show, heyotherparents@gmail.com, or 3, you could join us at Instagram or Blue Sky with the same username, heyotherparents. And now we're back for this part of the show. It's called Time to Unplug. This is a part of the show where we're going to talk about things that are outside of our children, something that we do for ourselves, with our spouses. It gives us a chance to decompress because you know what? You'll be a better we if we take care of me. So, Sara D, let's discuss what's going on. I understand that you are super duper organized. Like you're low-key clipboard. You don't want people to know, but you got some organization going on.
Some organization. It's just taken, years and years of having to do this stuff. So I'm off for the next couple of days with the kids, and I will hopefully have some time to myself to watch TV. But I always watch TV with Gene. I don't really watch TV by myself. So what I started doing, and instead of, TikToking for endless hours, going down God knows whatever rabbit hole, I started making a list on my Apple Notes of all the TV shows and movies that are recommended by colleagues. And I have them all written down and a little emoji to say a love story, a sad one, mystery or something like that. That way, I'm like, okay, I'm like, I don't know what to watch.
That.
Oh, let me watch this, or if it's a movie or a TV show. Because if it's a movie, that's folding some laundry, hanging out, or it's a TV show. It's okay, I could do that because I'm kind of running around. So I'll just watch a 20-minute episode, 30-minute episode and call it a day. So I can maximize my TV watching time.
You know what I like about that is that you didn't just put down, as somebody who likes clipboards, I like that you put down not just a list, but you put down the kind of feeling or theme or something that goes along with it. So almost yourself, you're I'm in a mood for something something super cheesy. I want a happy show. I want a romance show. I want something, a thriller. You kind of have that little in parentheses. I think I would need that more because sometimes you're looking at lists I don't know. They're oh wait, you're in the mood for something ridiculous. You're in the mood for a comedy. You're in the mood for something actiony. I feel that's a great idea. Ooh,
because I've done you should no because I've then I'm oh what is this movie about or something like that. Then I find 5 hours of researching each movie and then I never get to the movie. So
yes, 100%.
Just a quick what's my feeling I want. Here you go.
Is there anything on the list that you're dying to try? For me, The Bear is something that I keep talking about that I haven't seen yet.
Oh. I think I want to watch From Scratch. It's from last year apparently, but it's a tearjerker romance.
Is it the Italian, the Italy one where they go to Italy?
Yes.
And they...
Yes. It's
All
with
right. I'm gonna have to
Zoe...
airdrop like 3 packs of tissues for you.
Yeah, Zoe something or another. She's like from Guardians.
If it's the same movie, I'm thinking it is good and it requires tissues.
Yes, that's what I heard. Okay.
Yes, I did one of those things where I plopped down the couch and I was sitting there. My wife was watching it, and all of a sudden, I was on my phone, put the phone down. Now I'm engaged, and it was just like, oh my god. And it was like really good. But it was like, ooh, baby.
Okay. Oh, good.
But yeah, definitely check it out. But speaking of, watching a movie, sometimes with a movie goes some snacks. So I, without a doubt, I think this is probably because I'm going to be grocery shopping the next couple of days. Trader Joe's has a cheese section where they are like, it's always like a wall of cheese. And it's like, I feel like when you walk over there, you're like, oh, overwhelming, keep walking. But every so often, what I'll do is I'll try to get a couple new ones to try out. I'm a wild and crazy guy. So there's these 2 cheeses I want to recommend. This is kind of a little random, but I think kind of a random fun thing, because when I feel like every now and then, like you go to the grocery store and like you get some stuff like for the kids, for certain family members, you got to take care of you sometimes, or you and your spouse.
Oh, yeah.
There's 2 cheeses that I want to recommend that I think are amazing. One of them is the creamy Toscano cheese soaked in Syrah. It is you'll know it when you see it, because it's a cheese that has like a purple outside to it. And it is so ridiculously good. It's like a little tangy. It's good. It's like kind of hard. And it has like almost like this very slight, like a wine background flavor. I sound so pretentious right now, but I'm telling you, this thing goes good right in front of the couch watching a movie with some crackers over. And then 2 is 1,000-day Gouda cheese. This is like Gouda, but it's like aged a little bit, and when you bite into it, it's got those like little salty, crystally things in there. It is so good. So, despite our crazy schedules and all the nutty things that go around us, getting yourself some creamy Toscano cheese soaked in Syrah and 1,000-day Gouda cheese, trust me, take care of you. Maybe you're lactose intolerant. Don't take care of you, but do that and check it out. And I think you will be a happy person when you get a couple of good snacks to go with your movie list. Now you're like checking it out. I'm like thinking about your list.
I did. My mouth is watering. I'm like, ooh, how do I get some now? I have to go food shopping. Yes.
At work, should we just sit there and eat and have like a little cheese plate? People are like, what is wrong with you two? So I think that's going to do it for our time for this episode. We're going to wrap up this episode on Playdates 2. OPP, other people's properties. We discussed the stress levels that encounter when you go to other people's houses. Shoes off, shoes on, saying thank you, having a conversation, cleaning up those toys, bringing the fun stuff with you, maybe bringing in activities, kids don't kill each other, and leaving those siblings behind or with you. Always you to decide. But we'd like to take a special moment to thank our listeners, our supporters for donating to the show. If you want to help support this show so we can keep on making episodes like this one, we do have a link in our show notes for you to donate. If you don't have the means to do so, we totally get it. But we really hope that you can tell your friends or family about this podcast, because we want to reach more parents. And if you have a chance, if you want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we always appreciate that too. We cannot wait to explore this parenting thing with you again next week on Hey the Parents, because it's the 3 of us and all of you. Don't forget to hug your kids and charge your Chromebooks. That's going to do it for me and Sarah. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Hey the Parents is produced by Mike Levine, Sara D, and me, Michael Height. I edit and mix our show. Our intro voice recording was done by the one and only Coltrane. If you like our show, we hope you'll consider going to our show notes and help support the podcast. Or you know what? Tell some people about it, because they might like it too. Find us online at Instagram or Blue Sky at Hey the Parents, or send us an email at heytheparents@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.